All right, morning. Here we are. It's playoff time. Feels pretty good.
Morning.
We're finally here.
Are you in Japan?
You know what? I am in Japan.
Oh.
But it is great to have you here on this beautiful Monday evening. Dalton is not donning a hat today, which is it's a sad occurrence on the show. It really is.
Yeah. Look, we're having an issue here in my home where our air conditioning is out. So therefore, I'm not going upstairs where it's twice the temperature, and I'm not putting on a hat because it kind of I might overheat a little bit. So we're doing a little different. And man, Mike, I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all weekend. Even though I was in Vegas all weekend, I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Really, this weekend was super interesting. And the way it all played out, the playoff picture is now set. We will make predictions on that coming up a little bit later in the show. The Reds and the Guardians are both playoff bound, which is insane. The Guardians winning the division, by the way, an unbelievable stage of events, really, that led to that happening. But the Guardians and Reds, we'll talk about them. What went wrong for the Houston Astros and the New York Mets being the teams, the two teams that are the odd men out in this playoff picture? We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the wild card series coming up and see how we think the playoffs will progress. And then again, finally, we will each make the predictions as the playoffs start. We are cementing it right now. So, as we do every single week, we cater to our own fan bases. Oh, by the way, I'm assuming we do have as promised, special guest joining the program at some point. And I don't know when, and I don't know for how long, but he will be here at some point, I'm sure. We will talk about that a little bit later today. But like I said, we cater to our fan bases, Dodgers, Yankees. We're both in the playoffs again, Dalton. That feels pretty good. But you're still the defending champ, so you get to go first, bud.
Yeah, for now at least, right? I mean, that could change in about the next 48 hours.
A couple days, yeah, right.
But for the time being, we are. Yeah. Look, it's amazing how much can change in about 3 or 4 weeks, right? Yeah. The Dodgers over the last 3 or 4 weeks have gone from playing bad baseball just generally to all of a sudden playing the best baseball they've played all year outside of maybe the first week of the season. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to really know why. I mean, I think Max Muncy being healthy seems like it's a massive deal. The biggest key for the Dodgers is the starting pitching has been unbelievable. I mean, we're talking sub 2.5 ERA for the entire staff over the last month and a half. Yep. It's been so unbelievable that we basically have 6 starting pitchers who would start for any team who's left in the playoffs right now. I mean, literally all 6 of these guys, you put them on any other roster, they're at least taking a game 3, if not a game 1 or 2. And so it's an embarrassment of riches on the pitching side with the starters. Now, the big concern for the Dodgers, even as they've stayed red hot, 5-1 over the last week, they've done so despite a bullpen that cannot hold any kind of lead at all. Blake Trinan can't throw strikes. When he does, they're getting hit. Tanner Scott can't get anybody out. Alex Vesia has been giving up homers. The whole bullpen has been awful to a point where you get down near the end of games and you're like, I guess we're just going to roll these same guys out there. And so it's been really rough. But now, all of a sudden, we move Roki Sasaki into the bullpen. And Mike, I don't know if you caught the 2 innings he pitched out of the pen this week, but he has like best closer in baseball stuff right now. Like, it's nasty, and he's putting it where he wants it, and nobody's touched him. I think he struck out like 4 of the 6 batters that he's faced. Mm-hmm. And if that's who he's going to be in this postseason, I don't think he's a reliever you can turn to on back-to-back nights yet.
Sure.
But the idea that you can go to him in a game 1 and again in a game 3 and again maybe in a game 5 as just a shutdown guy for an inning makes a massive difference. Clayton Kershaw made a bullpen appearance in Arizona, looked good. Emmett Sheehan pitched a short outing in Seattle because he's moving to the bullpen. He looked really good. I mean, there's a chance that the Dodgers' late innings look completely different starting with the wild card series than they did during the end of the regular season. And if so, if you get to a situation where you have Kershaw, Sheehan, and Sasaki as the back end of your bullpen, well, I mean, things might be quite a bit different. And we know what the starting pitching is. I mean, you look at Blake Snell, you look at Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who in any other year where there wasn't a Paul Skeens in the way would be a Cy Young winner. I mean, he had a Cy Young season.
Yeah.
And then Shohei Ohtani, who is going to start game 3 if necessary, or he'll start game 1 of the NLDS if we get there. Yeah, it's absurd, man. So I don't know, Mike. It's funny. Last year when we went into the postseason, I sat here and I was basically saying, hey, I don't think the Dodgers have it this year. I don't think they're that team.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I could not feel more confident about where the Dodgers are at, but the path is a lot tougher. So we'll talk about that as we go. But
yeah, we will.
We're in a good spot.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to make any predictions here right now. But I have been very vocal about my confidence in the Dodgers virtually through the entire season, while acknowledging their issues throughout the way, right? Their bullpen has been a massive issue for a while now. I mean, Tanner Scott had a terrible season this year. Again, it was very similar because, like I said, you and I suffered through a very similar season in the sense of, like, we had these very highly touted bullpens that these very highly touted bullpens that simply underperformed. They did, and they were the setback of what our teams could have been. But I think given the recent play, this is what everybody expected the Dodgers to be. Is what you've seen over the last week. This is what everybody expected the Dodgers to be. And again, we've had kind of the same conversation over the past couple of weeks saying, if the Dodgers can figure out how to get outs in late innings, then I don't think anybody's touching them because, like, you're right. I mean, I think they have the best playoff rotation. I mean, I think like a team like Seattle has a pretty decent conversation in there, but like, other than that, I mean, I don't even think that anybody's close. I just don't. Like, even the Brewers, like, I think, like, as impressive as the Brewers have been, like, and we talked about how Peralta and Mizorowski and Quinn Priester and all of them, like they're all really good, but they're not Yamamoto. They're not Blake Snell. They're not Tyler Glasnow. Like, they're not. So
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Is I was going to say, you know, you think about those rotations, right? Like, the Dodgers just finished their season in Seattle, and the Dodgers had nothing to play for this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And they swept Seattle, beating George Kirby and Logan Gilbert on back-to-back nights. Like, beating them. Yep. They took the loss. So, to me, I'm just like, okay, if that's who we are when we don't really care right now, and we're just casually rolling Clayton Kershaw out there for his last career start to go 6 scoreless innings with 7 Ks.
Yeah.
I mean, people who listen to me talk about the Dodgers know that I'm usually the one tamping down the hope a little bit just because it's baseball. And you're going to hear me remind people of that a lot as we talk through these wild card series. Like, the most lopsided series is still a 30% chance that the underdog wins. That's just how these things go.
Yep. No, you're 100% right. 100% right. I have a lot of confidence in them. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I am very, very confident in the Dodgers. I'll leave it there for now. I am very confident in the Dodgers. We'll see exactly how far we both think they can go. On to the Yankees. I think this week for me was both fun, but also disappointing. like we talked about it last week, Dalton, where we, kind of said if the Yankees want to win the division, they have to win out. And they did. Like they swept the White Sox, they swept the Orioles. Like they took care of business against bad teams. The Blue Jays, I'll tell you this, after the series the Blue Jays had against the Red Sox, I felt pretty good. Yeah. I really did. We swept the White Sox. They lost 2 out of 3 to Boston. And now they're going, they're home. They're staying home for 3 against the Rays. And we need the Rays to win 1 game. And the Rays get swept by the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays win the division. That's just as, fuck. That's just the worst shit ever. But I will say, I like where the Yankees are going into the playoffs now. I would have loved a first round bye. And I still think that there's a chance that that they take the series from the Red Sox. I'm very, I feel, I'm not totally deflated in that. I know that they've had their struggles in the AL East, but the Yankees are hitting the piss out of the baseball. I mean, they've been hitting the piss out of the baseball virtually all season. It's almost never been the fact that they can't hit. It's mostly been, can they get outs? Again, like I said before, Dalton, we've kind of had similar experiences this season where the Yankees' biggest Achilles heel this year was they blew games late, right? And it was a series of different guys when it came to, Devin Williams, obviously at the forefront of that, but Devin Williams, Luke Weaver had his struggles, guys like Camilo Doval. I mean, David Bednar kind of came in and solidified the back end of the bullpen a little bit, but even he had his rough outings when he came over here. So, that's kind of the thing that worries me, is that I don't know how much confidence I can have in their pitching with their bullpen, right? Because I don't know that, unlike the Dodgers, we don't have the starter depth to supplement the bullpen that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our bullpen's our bullpen. We're going to roll with those guys. And like I said, they're more than talented enough to get the job done, but at the same time, they haven't produced that way. So it's a nerve-wracking series for the Yankees. It's obvious it's in the Bronx. That's great. I'll say this, I would feel very differently about where the Yankees go in this postseason if they got the first round bye. I'd feel very, very differently. So again, we'll see how it all plays out. But I think, as a Yankee fan, you have to, you can't help but be just a bit disappointed because you took care of business, and you kind of have this underlying feeling where you're just like, God, if Devin Williams just blew 1 less save, if he just blew 1 less save from this god awful season he had, coming in as the perceived best or second best closer in the sport, then we'd have a division title at the moment. But again, you could play that game all day. So I don't know. It's a bit of an uncomfortable position. It's not a bad one, but it's a bit uncomfortable if you're a Yankee fan right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at just the short sample of the last week and a half, right? The Yankees are arguably the hottest team in baseball going into the postseason, which is a massive deal. I mean, we've seen that be something that matters in the past. Now, does that continue when they're not playing the Orioles, the White Sox, and the Orioles? Right? I think it's a fair thing to ask.
Right.
My instinct is that it probably does, though. This is a team that has a lot of postseason experience. They're familiar with the moment. They're not going to be overwhelmed by it, right? And I think they're coming into this postseason pissed with a chip on their shoulder. And, I think they are in about as good of a spot as you could hope outside of just not having Garrett Cole healthy. But, you look at it, Fried and Rodon, if they pitch well, are going to give you guys a real chance to go up 2-0 in any series.
Right.
And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I mean, we'll get into the series when we get to it, but that game 1 tomorrow against Boston, I mean, if Fried can best Crochet, that's it for me. If you guys win tomorrow night, whereas if you guys lose tomorrow night, I don't think it's over the other way. So we'll talk about that as we go along, but I think the Yankees pitching depth especially in the American League with how that league shakes out, is going to be massive. Especially because if you get past this wild card series, you're facing the Blue Jays and not the Mariners. I think that's a huge advantage. Even though the Blue Jays played well against the Yankees this year, from a pitching perspective in a short series, I'd rather play the Blue Jays. So, I think the Yankees are in a really good spot, Mike. I think in the NL, I think you could make the Dodgers, Phillies, or Brewers each a betting favorite, and I wouldn't necessarily argue with it. In the AL, to me, it's right now the Yankees might be the betting favorite, if not maybe the Mariners.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair to say, and that's certainly a perspective to look at it from, because, like, I again, we'll talk about this a little bit later. I know, like, me as a guy who covers the league and follows the league as I do, I know the Yankees are a better team than Boston. I do. I think the Yankees are a better baseball team than Boston. I think the Yankees are a better baseball team than the Tigers. I think they're a better baseball team than Cleveland. The Blue Jays and the Mariners, I think you can make an argument for, but like, I certainly think that if the Yankees were the ones that were sitting atop the American League, nobody would be shocked, right?
100%.
Like, nobody would be shocked to say, oh yeah, the Yankees are the best team in the American League. But again, we'll see where this goes when we make predictions. Okay. No score update today because playoffs start tomorrow. So we jump right in, by the way, to our first topic. So let's talk quickly about the Guardians and the Reds.
Well, Mike, why don't let's talk Houston and the Mets first.
Okay.
Just to buy a little bit of time before we jump into that guards talk, if you understand what I mean.
If Tristan's not here, no, you're 100%
yeah.
right. So,
but and I'm real excited to dance on some graves. It just sounds like.
Well, in fairness, actually no, screw that. No, in fairness, fuck you, Juan Soto. Fuck you.
Oh,
fuck you. Listen, I am, there's one Met fan that I feel bad for in the world. One. And it is my amazing Aunt Jennifer. That is it. She's the only Met fan in the world that I feel bad for. Every single other one, you can go fuck yourself. This felt so, this isn't even me like putting on a show for the show. Like, I actually felt joy when they missed the playoffs after how much shit they talked. I felt so much joy. I really did. So before I go off the rails, Dalton, what happened with the
it's actually really, it's kind of funny when you look through it, right? So since August 1st, the Mets are the number one team in baseball in WRC plus, meaning that they are the best offensive team in baseball since August 1st, in just about any way you look at it. Since August 1st, the Mets are 21-31.
Yeah. Yep.
And a big part of why is because their team ERA since August 1st is 4.96. That ranks them right behind the Chicago White Sox and right in front of the Minnesota Twins since that date. So if you're wondering what went wrong for the Mets, the pitching went wrong for the Mets. And when you look at their season as a whole, and I got this from Frank the Tank earlier when I watched his rant, they were 45-24, Mike, in June.
Yeah, I saw this too. Yeah.
This record in baseball on June 13th, 38.55 which is close to a 100 loss pace. And listen, I mean, we've said it till we're blue in the face. Who they've been for more than half of the last 2 years is who they were for the second half of this year. Like, they were a bad team for 4 months last year. They were a bad team for 4 months this year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's what I have a larger sample size of. Mm-hmm. And going and getting Juan Soto made their offense better. He had an amazing season that I think he deserves credit for. But they didn't fix what their problem was. The Mets didn't need Juan Soto as badly as they needed Blake Snell, or as badly as they needed Garrett Crochet, or the other arms that were available.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, you invested in the wrong place. I mean, you and I talked preseason about it. Like, listen, Sean Manaea had a great year last year, but Sean Manaea, we have a lot more data on him being mid, to put it simply. And so the fact that he had this great year last year, I mean, that's fine, but that doesn't mean you should invest in that and trust that it's going to continue.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Sean Manaea, just to give you an idea for people that aren't familiar with the actual gap in what Sean Manaea, and he's just an example, but what Sean Manaea was last year and what he is this year. Last year, Sean Manaea in 32 starts had a 3.47 ERA. This year in 12 starts, he was hurt for most of the year. He only pitched 60 and 2/3 innings, 15 games, 12 starts. He had a 5.64. He had almost 2.5 more points on his ERA this year than he did last year. And that's more representative of what he's been over the last 4 years of his career. I mean, you look at Sean Manaea after he left the A's, right? After he left the A's in 2021. With the Padres, he had a 4.96 ERA in 28 starts. For the Giants in 2023, he pitched 37 games, only started 10. He was primarily coming out of the bullpen for the Giants at a 4.44 ERA. Then he had a good year with the Mets last year, and then this year with a 5.64. The issue with the Mets, and again, I want to kind of open this up from another perspective. The Mets felt so confidently about them being able to bargain shop for pitching and turn them into more than what they are, right? The whole pitching lab concept that they had was what they had confidence in, right? They felt that Kodai Senga was good enough to lead that staff. They felt that they could get Clay Holmes. They could turn Clay Holmes from a dynamite closer into a dynamite starting pitcher, and that didn't happen, right? And Clay Holmes was not bad this year, but let's not pretend like he was a top of the rotation starter, right? They did the same thing. They were like, all right, we bring Manaea back. He's going to be what he was last year. We signed Frankie Montas. He's had success in his career. Maybe we can get him back to that his previous form, right? I mean, they just didn't have the guys. Like, and it made, like, I've said this about the Mets dating back to this past offseason, saying, because you made a good point of saying, like, they didn't need Juan Soto as much as they needed somebody like Corbin Burns, right? Like, obviously Corbin Burns with the injury, how unfortunate that was. But when you had Corbin Burns and Blake Snell and Max Fried all on the free agent market, I mean, those are the guys. I thought, like, when they signed Juan Soto, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, now they're going to go get their pitching. And they just never did. They signed Juan Soto, and this is the term I've been using. They signed Juan Soto and then fell asleep. Like, that's what they didn't do anything else the rest of the offseason. And then when the deadline came along, they fortified their bullpen and got Cedric Mullins. I'm like, that's just not good enough to get you over the hump if you're not playing good baseball. So and you and I both said it, like, we just didn't have confidence in the Mets. It wasn't until the last couple weeks of the year where we're just like, oh my God, like, they could very easily not make the playoffs. And
yeah, I mean,
this is where we are now.
The funniest part of it is it's like, so the Reds are in the playoffs and you're happy for the Reds, but the Reds have not been good. Like, the Reds
they've been a 500 ball club all year.
Like months. Yeah. Well, yeah, all year. And it's not like they got hot down the stretch. They just watched the Mets and, frankly, the Giants too collapse in front of them.
Right.
And I mean, this weekend was a perfect microcosm of it. Of like, you all you got to do is go down to Miami and take 2 out of 3, and you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, the Reds lost yesterday. Like they weren't.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Like they weren't coming and taking it. And the Yankees didn't score.
The Reds didn't do their job yesterday.
No.
The door was open.
Mike,
Edward Cabrera
Reds
shut
went
them out. They lost 4-0. They didn't score a run.
The Reds went 2-4 this week.
Right.
Like they lost 2 out of 3 to the Pirates.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
no, well, we were thinking, honestly, because we talked about it and we were like, it's not looking good for the Mets because the Mets had a much tougher schedule going in, perceived, right? Because
right.
You knew the Cubs obviously are the Cubs, and then the Marlins in Miami. I mean, we said it before. There was like 60 days over the course of the season where the Marlins were the best team in baseball. The Marlins got extremely hot over the summer, and the Reds, after losing 2 out of 3 to the Pirates, were just like, okay, like all of this, we kind of like the Mets are going to take it, right? The Mets, all they got to do is win a couple games in Miami, and they're done. And they're in, and the Reds are just going to go fall flat to the Brewers, and that's going to be it, right? Because the Brewers were still playing for the number 1 seed. So they still cared a little bit. So it wasn't like they were just mailing it in.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a totally whiffed opportunity for the Mets. Let me ask this question. And obviously the playoffs can determine a lot when I ask this. But as of right now, do you think, based on what we thought in the preseason, are the Mets the biggest disappointment in the league right now? Like, are they the team that, like, what they were expected to do, they fell short of the most?
For me, the answer to that is the Atlanta Braves still.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, the Braves were bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody imagined a world where the Braves would be this kind of like that kind of bad. So that's their saving grace. I mean, the Astros are in the conversation as well, which we'll talk about them in a moment. But the Braves are that answer, but the Mets are not far off. And look, part of why I don't feel that way as much is because I've been pretty consistent all year about the fact that I thought the Mets were overrated. Granted, I still thought they'd make the playoffs. But, I mean, like, look, when they were hot, Mike, they were hot because Griffin Canning was pitching unbelievably well, and Clay Holmes was pitching unbelievably well.
Right.
This was never sustainable. Like, they're going to talk about how, all our guys just got hurt. And it's like, yeah, you had a couple guys get hurt, but you just weren't built for it, right? Like, let's be honest about it. Like, you went out and invested in guys that have never been what you need to have in the like, Mike, I mean, listen, even if they had won yesterday, and even if they were fully healthy, let's assume the Mets are fully healthy going into a wild card series with the Dodgers. They're overmatched in every pitching matchup, even if they're fully healthy. That's a problem. Like, you didn't fix what knocked you out last year.
Right. Yeah, listen. Like I said, we've been beating the hell out of this dead horse with the Mets.
I'm excited to leave it on the road and move on with better things.
Yeah. And can I appropriately just throw out one more fuck you, Juan Soto?
He had a great season, Mike.
But I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm saying that this is what he signed up for the rest of his career. Congratulations. Feels good. It really does. It feels nice. All right. So should we bring Tristan on now? Might as well.
Let's bring him on now. If he's got something to say about the Astros, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. All right.
Let's bring him in.
Let's get him in here. Tristan Reyes. It's good to have you here, my friend.
It's great to be here. And I'll tell you what about the Astros. They aren't the Guardians. I'll tell you that. We know how to close.
It's certainly right. They are not the Guardians. I will tell you that.
So, for those who weren't listening 2 weeks ago, the Guardians were 6.5 games from a playoff spot. Well, 6.5 games from the division, to be clear. They were a little bit close to a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And we made a promise to Tristan, who is very active in our comment section and a good friend of mine. We told him that if the Guardians somehow passed the Tigers and won the division, that we'd bring them on. And so Tristan, welcome to the show. You can hang as long as you want if you just want to hang out and talk ball. If you want to hang through the Guardians and then go do better things with your evening, that's fine as well. But happy to have you. But yeah, let's get into the Astros just a little bit. To me, there are two storylines here. One of them is out of their control, which is Jordan getting hurt. I think that's a massive deal for them.
Yep.
I think Jose Altuve hitting a wall in his career this year is out of their control. But I think there's some similarity to the Mets here in the sense that they ran it back with a lot of uncertainty in the rotation.
Yep.
And Framber Valdez fell apart. Christian Javier was never the same coming off of injury. Luis Garcia was never the same coming off of injury. The Astros were connected to names in the pitching market that they didn't go after either.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know where the Astros go from here. I think for the Mets, the path forward is clearer because, let's be honest, what Steve Cohen's probably going to do this offseason is go sign like the top 3 starters on the market. That's are probably going to be really good. It's a little bit more complicated than that for the Astros. Like, they're old. So I don't know where the answers are for them.
Yeah, I think you have a good point there. And it's kind of what I was thinking about before we got on today was, even though, like, as we're talking about the Mets and the Astros and we're kind of making those comparisons, the Mets have a very clear line of like what they're going to do to fix their problems. Steve Cohen is going to go out and his wallet is going to fly around passing out money like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
The Astros, like you said, are like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Astros halfway tore it down. Like if they kind of went into this offseason and, played with the idea of either trading some of their veteran pieces, letting some of the guys that they have in free agency right now walk, right, and just sort of starting over. Now, I wouldn't even say starting over because I don't know that they want to go full-blown Colorado Rockies, but
you never go full-blown Rockies.
Nobody ever goes, except for John does math. He goes full-blown Colorado Rockies. By the way, unfortunately, the Rockies fell just short of making the postseason. That's really unfortunate. I'm sorry, John. But yeah, I agree with you, Dalton. I think that the path forward for the Astros is something that's going to be a very intensive, I think, internal conversation they're going to have of like, do we buy more? Like, do we believe in the core still? And do we buy more and try to just get ourselves over our division's not that good, right? We could still win. Or do we just say, all right, listen, we were very good for a decade. Let's kind of tear it down, retool, get a little younger, and try to retool that way. Before we head into the Guardians, Tristan, what do you think about the Houston Astros and what they should do going forward?
No, I mean, I think you guys both hit the nail on the head with it as it relates to not really sure what they're going to do, but the ideas of what they could do is to do a half rebuild. You have a lot of money sunk into Altuve and now Correa, right? You took on that contract, which is a bloated whale of a contract, right? So it's like, what do you do there? How do we bring in new pitchers? Hunter Brown was a bright spot throughout the year. The rest of it kind of fell apart in the second half. What does that look like? Can we go sign somebody? Who do we let walk? Where do we sit? Right. You have some bullpen questions. I think they just have too many questions to really address in one offseason, at least in a successful manner without knowing, we have these 5-6 guys coming up that we can just call up and they'll work. Right. And they just don't have that currently. So I think you guys both have, but both of what you guys say is what I would echo as well.
I think they end up in one of two directions. I think it's either a soft rebuild where they sell off a lot of these pieces that are thought to still have something in the tank. Like Framber Valdez is going to have interest if they put him on the trade market, right? Like guys like that, like there's going to be interest in them. The other way that I could see this going, because it feels very Astros, is they go sign Alex Bregman. And they say, let's just run it all the way back. And maybe they sign 48-year-old Justin Verlander to a 1-year deal. And they go, we're really going to run it all the way back. Maybe they even signed Charlie Morton. I would sure hope not for their sake.
Bring Zach Greinke out of retirement and get him back in the rotation.
I mean,
any willing arm.
Yeah, they started hitting up the Yankees with trade offers for Garrett Cole. But no, I think there's a chance that Jim Crane just has too much pride to let this go. And in that case, I start to wonder, like, how ugly does it get? Because Jose Altuve can't play defense.
No, he's done.
Neither can Yordan Alvarez. Right. You can't DH them both, right? So, like, this could get real hairy if they don't make some changes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, I think that there's a real possibility that they not like I don't think that they'll go full sell, but they could go half sell and not even like they could do that thing that every like team that tries to do the same thing does and say, well, we're not really selling, but like we'll trade some of our good players for like some younger major league ready talent. Like, I feel like that never works ever. Like, it just doesn't. Like, you're going to trade some half all-star guy for, some team's sixth starter because he's 26.
I don't know, man, because the Cleveland Guardians traded away Josh Naylor for Slade Ciccone.
It's true.
I mean, I'm sure they wish they had Josh Naylor right now, but
I know I do personally.
Yeah. Let's talk about those Gardos, man, because I've had enough of tearing down the bat. I'm excited to talk about this postseason coming up.
Yeah.
Tristan, first of all, you and I were in a hotel room 2 nights ago when what's his name? CJ Kayfus was hit in the shoulder with a pitch.
Yep.
And I thought Tristan was about to throw me out the window of the Aria. He was so excited. So congratulations on the postseason berth. Congratulations on the division win in the Central. How confident are you going up against the Tigers, and why? Why do you feel this way?
I'm confident enough going against the Tigers. Of the last 6 games, we've taken 5 of them from them. I don't know. I think we have them figured out to a degree. Our bullpen, our bullpens and starters minus Skubal, I think carry better, at least going into this postseason, than theirs have throughout the second half of August, month of September. I don't see that changing just based on how they also played the Red Sox, right? They didn't look great in that. Bullpen didn't hold well, right? Like it just was the same problem again and again and again. I feel that we, again, like I said, match up very well against them as it relates to the pitching. My worry, as you know, Dalton, and we've talked about it, is the bats going cold, because when the bats go cold, that's it, right? I mean, we're not I think I saw a stat today that I think only two of our hitters had an OPS plus over league average. Only 2 of them did. That's not, and John Does Math made a comment that we have a negative run differential. I think we're at -6. The next closest is plus 84 or 85, I believe. So we're looking at a 93-point swing on that. That's where I worry, especially as it relates to playing Skubal first. And if we can't win that first game, does it bode well for us? Bybee going out, winning the second game, then we got to win the third game, but if we can get to Skubal early, kind of like we did, I know this last one after Fry took a ball to the face, he kind of fell apart, rightfully so, right? That's a traumatic experience for somebody to go through, but nonetheless, we were able to capitalize on that time before we jumped on them early. We just have to do that again. And I am 65% confident we can take them, but
Yeah. I mean, I see it the same way, because I think Skubal has a little bit of like an emotional boogeyman with the Gardos. I mean, dating back to the postseason last year, and then these 2 starts in the last 2 weeks, this seems to be a bit of a baggage that he's carrying right now and struggling with. And we know what Progressive Field is going to sound like Tuesday night. Like, that's not a crowd that you have to convince to show up.
Nope.
And I think it's going to be a lot for him to deal with. And Mike, I'm curious if you agree with me on this, because I said this about another series, but I feel it much more strongly about this one. If the Guardians win game 1, that series is over with a capital O, over. And so there's a lot of pressure on Skubal to be perfect in that game. Now, Tristan, just to corroborate some of what you said, Team ERA since August 1st. Guardians, first of all, they're 34-20 since August 1st, but Guardians number 1 team ERA in baseball, 3.3 since August 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Look at them offensively. WRC plus of 82 is 28th, better than only the Angels and Rockies since August 1st. So the reality for the Gardos is you go out, you score 3, maybe 4 runs, and you hope your pitching staff does its thing. That's how they have to win.
Yep. Well, and just to add on to that, our starters have a 2.25 ERA in the month of September. So our bullpen has actually statistically been a little worse than our starters have. If we can get 6 or 7 out of Gavin, which hasn't happened all season, and if we can hopefully prevent SUCCUMB from getting to 6 or 7, if we can keep them to 5 and make them play a bullpen game that last half, I think that bodes well for us. But I'm curious as to how you how Mike feels about that as well. But
yeah, the thing that worries me about the Guardians in particular is that they're going up against arguably the best pitcher in baseball, and they have a bottom 3 offense in the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's I think at face level or at surface level, I think that's as simple as you can look at it, right? Where Tarek Skubal is as good as they come in the major leagues, and the Guardians have they just haven't been a good offensive team, right? Their team OPS is under 670. Like they don't hit they don't hit. But that's kind of who the Guardians have always been. Like that's kind of what, now obviously their offense hasn't always been as poor as their numbers show now, but at the same time, I mean, they've always been sort of a pitching defense sort of team, and their offense simply supplements their pitching. They don't blow anybody out. The Tigers are certainly a team that once you, like, even if they lose game 1 to SUCCUMB and you have to face, who are you facing in game 2? Jack Flaherty? Like, if you're facing Jack Flaherty in game 2, Jack Flaherty's hittable this year. He's got a 4.5 ERA, right?
Jack Flaherty's been hittable for the last 5 years. I mean,
it's true. Yeah. Tell that to the Dodgers last year too, by the way.
I mean, he was hittable for the Dodgers last year. I mean, like he blew up I forget whether it was against the Yankees or the Mets, but he blew up more than once in the playoffs. He did just enough, but Jack Flaherty is not what you want as a number 2 starter. I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's in part of that, right? Just to talk, that's how we got to where we got, right? We didn't get here because we outmuscled them, or we had an easier schedule even, or we had the better run, or anything like that. It was that your 2 through 5 starters fell apart, right? Your number 1 starter in the league, your number 1 best pitcher in the league kept being the best pitcher in the league, except when he faced the Gardos. And then the 2 through 5 couldn't get it done, and they couldn't hold those leads, and they couldn't beat teams like the Twins
and the Tigers in their defense in that respect too. I mean, when Jackson Jobe and Reese Olson both went down for the season, I mean, their rotation just got miles worse. Miles worse. So,
the other thing about that too, Mike, that I think they deserve, frankly, some of the shit we're giving the Mets for is their deadline.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's 100% true. 100% true. Well, we talked about them needing at least to add a bat and somebody in the back of their bullpen, right? Like that's something we really kind of harped on. And we were, Dalton, when we were making predictions for them for the deadline, my big thing was go get Felix Bautista. Like go make the big splash for the back end of the bullpen kind of guy. They never did. And then, offensively, again, they kind of stood still, and now they're going to rely on Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson and Gleyber Torres to get them through the playoffs. Like again, we'll see. And again, we'll make our predictions a little bit later, but let's I want to shift a little bit to the Reds. I want to go back to the National League because excuse me, they are, I think, the most fortunate team in the playoffs. I don't know that they think that they should be there. Like, I think they're happy to be there, for the lack of a better term, right? They didn't I don't want to say earn. They didn't, as Tristan says, They didn't muscle their way into the postseason. They just kind of stumbled into it because the Mets stumbled out of it. So how do we feel about, and the Reds now have to go into the playoffs and go play 3 games in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, a fully healthy, fully loaded Dodger team. We'll see. I don't know.
Just before Dalton answers this, I just want everybody to know out there, the Dodgers and the Guardians hold the same seed in the playoffs. That's all. Just, we're both 3 seeds.
Which is wild to think about. And the Dodgers only won 4 more games than the Guardians this season, which is also crazy to think about.
Again, if you ever wonder why teams don't spend money in this sport, that is the perfect example why. The Dodgers have a $400 million payroll and the Guardians have a $40 million payroll, and they're almost the same team, record-wise.
Yeah. I mean, so to go back to the Reds, I think the one thing that the Reds have going for them, they're built for a short series. Like that bullpen with Chase Burns now probably being in it, right? That bullpen has at least been on a bit of a heater of late, although it's not necessarily a bullpen that intimidates you. But the starting rotation is pretty real. Like Hunter Green is an ace in this league, full stop. And then you follow him with some combination of Nick Lodolo, Brady Singer, Andrew Abbott, Zach Littell, Nick Martinez. I mean, look, Littell, Martinez, Singer, these aren't aces, but having those guys to piggyback your staff, those are very serviceable starting pitchers who can eat innings for you and get you through, maybe innings 5 through 8 in a game. Right.
I think those 3 names are the guys you're going to see. I think you're going to see Green, Lodolo, and Andrew Abbott. Like I would imagine.
I think so too. I wouldn't be shocked if they want to give Brady Singer a start, but I think they want to throw lefties at the Dodgers. I think that's a thing. Like you want lefties against Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman at the top of that lineup.
Right.
Look, the good thing for the Reds is if you can steal a game with Hunter Green on the mound, you never know what can happen. And Hunter Green is about as good as they come right now in baseball. Now, it's going to be a big moment for him. He's pitching. I mean, Hunter Green's an LA kid. He went to Notre Dame High School, rival high school of mine. Like, we're from the same area, grew up rooting for the Dodgers. Pitching on that Dodger Stadium mound for his first ever playoff start is going to be a massive adrenaline rush. Not to make this about the Dodgers, but I think we need to make him prove that he can throw strikes, because I think that's going to be the biggest thing. But yeah, I mean, on the flip side, if you're the Reds, they haven't exactly been blowing the doors off people. This was a team that a week and a half ago, we were saying, well, the Reds have had this great opportunity, and then you go to Sacramento and lose 2 out of 3 to Oakland. And then you come home when you lose 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh. Like, they're not playing good baseball. They're playing the same baseball they've played all year. So, yeah, they're a massive underdog, and they should be. But they do have the pitching. I'll give them that.
Yeah, they don't have nothing. They certainly don't have nothing. I mean, they had a tough week, right? By the way, correction, Dalton, about how they played last week. They were 3-3 last week, not 2-4.
Oh, 3-3. Okay.
They took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers, but they also, before that, I mean, we kind of crapped on them a little bit because they lost 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh. Before that, they 4-game swept the Cubs. So. Yeah. Like, there is something to be said that the Reds season has, I mean, and we've kind of talked about it. The Reds season has been very like this, right? Yeah. Like, it's been a very middling sort of season for them where they've kind of gone back and forth in a lot of different ways. And I love the fact that they have a ton of young talent, right? Like, I think on both ends, like Ellie De La Cruz and Chase Burns are, I think, 2 of the more exciting young players in their respective sides of the ball. Right. So I think that's something that's exciting. But Tristan, where do you kind of land on the Reds heading into the postseason right now?
I mean, I think I just would have to echo that there's a chance for them if Hunter Green can capitalize and can throw strikes and can really, dominate with what he does. There is obviously more offensive power than, some playoff teams, right, that they have that squeak in or stumble in kind of where they are. And although they did kind of back their way into that spot, into the playoff spot to play the Dodgers for where they're at, it doesn't necessarily signify they're a bad team. It just means that they aren't a currently performing team, right? So there is always a chance that the Dodgers are overlooking them and are looking towards, hey, we've got this onto, the Phillies or onto the Milwaukee or whatever, and then boom, boom, 2 close games, right? Where it's a Hunter Green dominance, 7-8 inning performance, where he's striking out 12, 13 guys and just making them kind of look silly. And then, you have Lodolo come out as a lefty and dominate that side of the plate. And it's right. It's there. I don't see that for them. Right. Speaking honestly, I see the Dodgers probably taking that in 2 games, but for the Reds, as it looks, there is a viable chance for it for sure.
Yeah, certainly. Gavin Lux revenge tour, Dalton, huh?
What's so funny about that is whenever he's had successes this year, Dodger fans have been like cheering for him on Twitter, and he came back to LA and got a big ovation. And it's funny because there couldn't be any less animosity there. I'm actually really excited to see him play in this series in LA. And, obviously I would love to take both games, but I wouldn't mind seeing him get a few hits. I find him really likable as a player. So, that'll be fun. Michael, I want to kind of do some previewing of these series too. And I'm actually fascinated to hear your predictions for how this all goes. So I'd love to get into some of that stuff too.
Yeah. So let's talk about, let's go up and down here. So the first series that we see, at least the first game that we'll see, I'm basing this off of tomorrow's schedule. But Tigers and Guardians in Cleveland. Obviously we have to start with this because Tristan's here. So we have to kind of lead this off. Tigers and Guardians in Cleveland, division matchup. By the way, both matchups in the American League are division matchups, Yankees and Red Sox as well. But we have Tigers Guardians. I think it is Gavin Williams and it is Tarek Skubal for the first game. How do we feel, Dalton, about this series going forward? Who takes it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if you guys have joined the MLB playoff pool through the Discord that we're both in yet, or that we're all in yet. But I submitted my picks earlier. I took the Guardians in 2. I think that this is a series where they beat Skubal tomorrow because I think I'll put it this way. I think given the boogeyman that the Guardians are for Skubal, I don't think he has a big advantage over Gavin Williams tomorrow. I'm not saying I think Gavin Williams is the pitcher he is necessarily, but he might be. But I think I view tomorrow's game as sort of a toss-up through the first 5-6 innings. Mm-hmm. And I think the Guardians have the momentum, and I think they have the bullpen to win late. Once you get past that game, I like Tanner Bybee's form right now a lot better than Flaherty's. Game 3, I don't even feel that confident. If it gets to Game 3, I don't even feel that confident that I know what the Tigers would do. Whereas I think the Guardians have a clear plan. Like they've got starting pitching that's been performing well on a consistent basis. So the pathway to the Tigers winning this wild card series to me is a bit of a tough one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I certainly agree. I think I agree with what you said before in the sense of if the Guardians win tomorrow, the series is over. I'm just not 100% that they're going to win tomorrow. So I have taken the Tigers in this series. I'm taking the Tigers in 3, and I think it is going to be a very, very close 3. The reason I'm saying that is because as much as I think Cleveland can kind of hang their hat on their pitching a little bit, and Gavin Williams has had a very nice year, right? ERA slightly over 3. The nature of who Gavin Williams has been throughout his career is there are games where he looks absolutely unhittable, like the kid you drafted, like that sick. And there are games where he gets bombed. And I don't know that I can confidently say that Gavin Williams is going to go toe-to-toe with Tarek Skubal on Game 1. I just don't know. In his first playoff appearance. Like I don't know that I can confidently say that. So I think all in all, I think the Tigers bats win out, and the Tigers are not a tremendous offensive team, but I think the Guardians do struggle offensively what they have been all year. If they're not going to get their offense from Steven Kwan, from Jose Ramirez, I don't know where it comes from, right? I just don't know who can consistently produce. And if they go down, I don't feel as strongly as I do about if the Guardians win game 1, that it's going to be over. But I do think that if the Tigers win game 1 and now the pressure is on the Guardians to win 2 more at home back to back, I don't know. Like the Guardians kind of like they kind of leaped into the playoffs and got super duper hot. But I'm kind of playing contrarian here. I think I kind of think the Tigers are going to try, like they have a weight on their shoulder where they're like, we were at once the best team in the American League and we can't take an early exit in the playoffs. I think they play with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. So I'm taking Detroit. I think it's a close series, but I'll take the Tigers.
One thing that works in your favor, and then we'll let Tristan give us a million reasons why the Guardians are going to win. One thing that works in your favor, Mike, is this like season ending going into the series is a great opportunity for like a mental refresh for Detroit.
Yeah.
Where it can be, listen, the only difference it made that we didn't win the division is that these games are on the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you were going to be playing a 3-game series with the Guardians. So, okay, BFD, right? Big deal. We didn't win the division. We just got to go on the road to Cleveland. We play in Cleveland all the time, right? So, I mean, there's a world where they are able to reset themselves mentally. They go in, they take game 1. They go, yeah, it's a different world now. And they like look, these wild card series are short, man. Anything can happen. So I can see it. And they have one of the top 3 or 4 best pitchers in the world tomorrow. But Tristan, let's hear it, man. Tell me about why the Guardians are going to win.
Well, so I'm going to start with a little bit of bad news. So first, Mike, this is Gavin Williams' second appearance. If you'll recall, he played the Yankees last year and got lit up. That is true.
Yes. Yep. Thank you.
He had 11 ERA, went 2 1/3 innings. So that's the first thing.
Yeah, it wasn't memorable. That's all. That's all it was.
The other thing is you're right. Gavin Williams does have a lot of ebbs and flows to him as it relates to throwing almost a no-hitter one game against the Mets to getting blown up by the White Sox 2 starts later. That's who he has been this season. The last month and a half, he hasn't been. He's been the guy we want. I find that his command of his pitches, his walks are down, his strikeouts are up, his command of the strike zone is better. I think our pitching coach, along with Stephen Vogt's encouragement and some of the things that they've been working on, play a lot in his favor. He knows Detroit's lineup up and down. Yep. He's pitched to them twice in the last 2 weeks, of which games were meaningful games, and he stood up to where they were at and met them there. So I think a lot of that plays into favor for us. I think that, to Dalton's point, we are kryptonite to them. For whatever reason, they can't get the runs generated. SUCCUMB can strike out 8 in 5 innings, and we beat you in the bullpen because your bullpen's not as good as ours is. So even if you have a 2-1 lead, we hold you to 2 and we score 2 more.
Yep.
I think something else, that win that we took, those last 2 wins that we took over the Rangers were electric wins. Carrying that into playoffs means something where it's like, look, we can do this. We know we can do this. I mean, Brian Rocchio hit a 3-run shot to walk it off against the Rangers. I understand they weren't throwing out their best relievers, but it's still that belief and that fight that they have in them. I mean, that's what they are. It's what I've loved getting to watch the second half of the season. It's what I've loved talking Dalton's ear off about. It's what I've loved getting to see as it relates to how these guys are. And I think that plays well in that matchup tomorrow. I think that it sticks in their head that we couldn't finish this out. We had every opportunity going in and we couldn't finish it out. All you had to do was hold on to a 1-game lead and you couldn't do it.
Right. I
just don't see that. So I also have the Guardians 2-0ing them.
Yeah. No, hey, listen, I think the Guardians, I think a lot of people are kind of going into this series feeling the Gardos a little bit. They are. They're playing better baseball. The pitching staff is certainly better. Mm-hmm. Again, my biggest concern about by the way, I am screwed in fantasy now because Tyreek Hill just got carted off the field. Sorry, had to throw that out.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah. But my biggest concern, like I said about the Guardians, is whether or not they're going to be able to take advantage of the weaknesses in the Tigers pitching staff once you get past Tarek Skubal, right? Can they take advantage of that? So again, but Dalton, like you said, dude, like it's in the playoffs, it is like all of the large sample size shit that we talk about all year is almost meaningless now.
Yeah.
Everything is condensed into such a short span of time.
People forget like that Rangers team that won the World Series a couple years ago blew a division lead, stumbled into the playoffs going, I think it was 4-8 over the last 12 games entering the playoffs, and everybody kind of wrote them off. And then they just all of a sudden got hot after taking the day or two break before the wild card series. It can happen. We don't really know. I mean, look, the beauty of baseball and what makes October baseball, to me, the most exciting playoffs in sports is that unlike the NBA, where a team will get in as the 8th seed and there's literally no chance in almost every situation that they can go all the way, the Cincinnati Reds can absolutely win the World Series. I'm not saying that they will or that it's likely, but it's possible.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes baseball really special, right? And so that's what I'm really looking forward to. Yeah. Mike, I'm excited to talk about Yankees and Red Sox.
Okay.
As well, because, you know, we touched on it a little bit. Game 1 facing Garrett Crochet is a really big deal. Yeah. Now, Ryan Baio, who they're going to face after that, has also been pitching really well lately. But I think the Yankees exercised some demons in that last series against Boston. And I think they're kind of on even footing maybe right now from mojo perspective. And the Yankees are playing really good baseball. Still, here's my concern for the Yankees.
Yep.
I do have the Yankees winning this series in 3 games, but here's my concern for the Yankees. If Garrett Crochet strikes out Aaron Judge 2 or more times and you lose game 1, I think the energy in the Bronx for game 2 is going to be palpably uncomfortable, awkward, booey. And I think it could get kind of weird. Mm-hmm. And the concern is you kind of start to enter this territory. And I say this as somebody who's seen this from the Dodgers over the last 12 years at times.
Yep.
You start to enter this territory of like, our best player is not that guy in the playoffs. And we know it. And we're kind of giving it to him about it. And now he's feeling even more. Like, I think winning game 1 for the Yankees is not just about taking the Crochet card out of the Red Sox deck. It's also about putting last year to bed.
Yeah.
I think that's a really big deal. So I just wanted to start with that. I do think the Yankees win, but man, tomorrow's game, that's, to me, out of all the game 1s, that's the most important one.
Okay.
To the 2 retrospective series.
You ready?
Yeah.
Red Sox are going to win the series. I think the Red Sox win the series. Because here's the thing. Garrett Crochet could very easily win the AL Cy Young. He has okay, so I'll phrase it like this. The Red Sox have this ability to feed off of the energy in the Bronx. Same way the Dodgers did last year, right? Which is why I kind of chuckled when you brought it up, right? If Aaron Judge strikes out twice in a row, right? He goes 0 for 2 with 2 Ks, or he goes 0 for 2 with a ground out in 2 Ks, or something like that against Garrett Crochet. And the Yankees are down 2-0 early or something like that. It's 2-0 in the 3rd. Like, I think it's about over at that point. Like, I don't view the Yankees as a team that has shown the comfortability of being uncomfortable. Like, I just don't get that feeling. The Yankees have had very well documented struggles against the AL East. I think it is very likely that they lose against Garrett Crochet tomorrow, and that lose brings them down to a point of what similar to how we felt in Game 3 of the World Series last year. It is just I don't see it going well. I just don't see it going well. I think we have seen the last Yankee win of the year. I think the Red Sox win 2 in a row and advance.
Okay, so I'm really excited to get Tristan's thoughts on the series, but before we do that, Mike, let's say you do go 0-2 and you lose to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
You know what question I'm going to ask you. What happens to Aaron Boone?
I think Aaron Boone stays.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think Aaron Boone stays, and I think Anthony Volpe's the starting shortstop next year. Like, I honestly, I know you're giving me that face, but I'm telling you right now, the Yankees have this especially, by the way, if they keep Aaron Boone, they have this sort of affinity towards him that's kind of unexplainable. Like it's just not like if it were me, the guy would have been kicked to the curb in June. But I get the feeling that the Yankees are they're a bit of a run it back franchise right now. They'll make one big addition and that's going to be it.
You really wouldn't, like, talking to you right now, you would not think that this was a Yankee team on an 8-game win streak. You just wouldn't.
Well, listen, like you said, you made a good point of, like, they're playing good baseball right now against the White Sox and the Orioles and with the division on the line. Sure. I just know that what we've seen again, and it all gets boiled down into 3 games. 162 games gets boiled down into 3 really quickly, right? The Yankees adjust, like, that's why I said to start the show today, I would feel much better about the Yankees if they won the division than not, because then they only have to play 1 AL East opponent and not 2.
Yeah.
And that's, again, in a short series, I think it favors the Red Sox and not the Yankees. So
right.
I think the Red Sox take 2 from the Yankees right off the bat, and the Yankee season is done.
Tristan, do you agree with him, or are you going to make a case for the Yankees?
I was going to ask Dalton, is this what it's like talking to me about the Guardians? Oh, man. Because I know I can get doom and gloomy sometimes. Holy Moses.
This is more like
being honest and objective. That's all.
I don't know if that is. I think you're being a little tough on them. I think you are. I think, to throw in, what if Judge goes 2 for 4 with the 2 doubles and 1 RBI? Right? I mean, there's so many. Sure. I also love living in what if Tarek Skubal goes 8 innings and gives up 2 hits and then I have to just go right into Kyle Finnegan? Great. Okay, great. Right? I can play that game. You know what I mean? Oh, great. What if Jack Flaherty comes in and suddenly Bo Naylor, who's hitting 191, isn't driving in 4 RBIs a game? Right?
Yeah, right.
I get where you're coming from. I get trying to be objective, but it's like that Yankees team is a good team. It is. It's a good team. Yeah. As somebody who's fought the Yankees for 2 decades of my life, I've looked at you guys in the ALCS year after year after year and knowing like this is it. All right, cool. We're getting 4-2'd. That's awesome. I don't know. You got to give them a little bit more credit than you do.
Well, listen,
I'm with Dalton. I'm with Dalton 2-0.
Listen, I think I said this before. I think the Yankees are a better team. I do. Mm-hmm. I think the Yankees are a better team in every facet. I do.
Yeah.
I think they have a more talented bullpen. I think their rotation's better. I think their lineup's better. They're a better team.
Yeah.
And I think Alex Cora is a tool, so I like Aaron Boone more than him. So
that's saying something.
In every aspect, I think the Yankees are better. But for 2 games, and who knows, maybe I'm kind of playing I think they're going to lose. So that way I don't get my hopes up when they win.
Do I know that game? Do I know that song?
But no, honesty, if I'm really boiling it down to what I feel in my gut, I just have this was not the pull I wanted. And I think it could result in something very suboptimal. So I'll say, like I said, I still think it sucks to go play the Blue Jays, unfortunately. And then we'll report back in a week when the Yankees 2-0 them, and then you guys can both rub it in my face.
That's what that's where I have them. I have them getting to Crochet in the 5th, knocking them out. You guys run through that bullpen, and they can't do a whole lot about it, and you get to Bello next game.
Listen, from your lips to God's ears, I hope that happens. But again, we'll see. We'll see. It's playoff baseball, man. We'll see. All right, so let's go. Before we get to Dodgers Reds, let's go to Padres Cubs. 3 in Chicago. Dalton, I already know. I have a feeling where you're going with this, but because I know how bullish you are about a team in particular in this series. How do we feel? Padres, Cubs in Chicago.
Cubs in 3.
Ooh,
maybe even in 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's worse than me saying the Sox.
I think my view on the Padres has changed a lot in the last few months.
Okay.
I think that's a team that this year doesn't they don't have the sauce. I'll put it that way.
Interesting.
The main thing I mean when I say sauce is they don't have the pitching. Like they don't. I mean, they have the bullpen, but Robert Suarez hasn't been amazing all the time. he's just going to throw fastballs down the middle. They don't seem to want to use Mason Miller as their closer. I don't know, man. I have it like, look, Nick Pivetta gives them a good shot in game 1.
Yeah.
But when I look at the last 2 months, right? When I look at August 1st to now, because Mike, let me ask you this. If the Padres have an advantage in this series, we think it's the pitching, right?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay. Since August 1st, Cubs 3rd in baseball with a 3.45 ERA.
Yeah.
Padres 9th. And a big part of it, it's been the starters. So you think about it, Nick Pivetta has been good, but they're going to Dylan Cease in game 2. I don't trust Dylan Cease right now at all, especially not at Wrigley in October, where the Cubs have been a really good home team.
Yeah.
And Kyle Tucker's back. I just think the Cubs are going to have a little bit of magic ready to go at Wrigley for this series. It's a tough place to go in and win in October. I think the Padres are very much a homestanding team. It's shown in what they've done throughout this season. When they can get in front of their crowd at Petco Park and get the place all pumped up, they can handle a team and win. But them not getting any home games in the series is a huge deal to me. And especially if Nick Pivetta doesn't go out and shove in game 1, I don't think they have enough to get through this series and win it. So give me the Cubs. I just trust the Cubs offense more. I trust the Cubs pitching a little bit more. And the Padres are just not the Padres away from Petco. They have a losing record this season on the road. They're not that team. I'm sorry. Look, and Mike, you know that I think very highly of the Padres. I think for most of this season, I viewed them as right there with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that they're going to get to Chicago and it's going to snowball on them. Yeah.
Well, listen, it's totally possible. And you make a very, very good case. It's funny. So our playoff bracket so far is entirely opposite. I took the Padres. Listen, I think, like I said, you make a very, very, very good point. And I do have faith. I think I have more faith in the Padres pitching, in their bullpen. Getting through game. If they get out to an early lead, I think they can shut down games fairly early. I think that's kind of how I feel about the Padres. The issue that we had with them going back to a few weeks ago when we talked about this was that how are the Padres driving in runs, right? Like, how are they, because they don't hit a lot of homers. Like, this is not a team that they don't homer all that much. And Ryan O'Hearn has kind of helped that cause in some sense, but they do struggle driving in runs because they don't hit the long ball. So that's a part of it. The Cubs, I don't know, man. Like, there's just like, and again, if you can't tell by watching the show for 2 years, like, I'm more of a vibes guy than anything else. Like, I look at numbers second, sort of. I wouldn't even say second, but like, again, it's all here, baby. I don't know, man. I think you're asking a lot for like Matthew Boyd to make several, successful starts in a postseason. I don't know. There's something about the Cubs that I don't necessarily believe in. And there's something about the Padres that I do. I just think as far as being equipped to win games late, produce a little bit more consistent offensively, I think it's the Padres. 3 games. Give me 3 games, but I think it's the Padres.
Yeah. I'm not asking Matthew Boyd to pitch well through the playoffs.
No, you're asking him to pitch well 1 game.
I need him to pitch well 1 game against a team that has been anemic on the road and just hasn't yeah. I mean that. Oh, I don't know. Because Mike, here's the thing. And I say this about a lot of the series. This is one where, to me, like, every game is going to be tightly contested, right? This isn't one where it's like, hey, if one team takes game 1, they're going to take the series necessarily. But I think the Padres, part of the issue I have is you've got these great bullpen arms, but I think they're going to have to go to their pen early.
Yeah.
And I just think at Wrigley, man, I don't know. The thing that I really struggle with them is just how bad they've been on the road. That's the biggest thing. Tristan, what do you have Padres Cubs?
I'm in the same vein as, not to keep piggybacking, I guess, because Dalton and I seem to row out of the same boat on this stuff, but I have them. I just don't think they match up well with Imanaga or with, ex-Guardian, by the way, Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, right.
I just don't. I don't think that they do. I think that they struggle to hit the ball well. I think that they, especially in a raucous crowd like what Wrigley will be, right? We've all seen it in the playoffs. We've seen what they do. We've seen how they operate, and I just don't think that they, I think the Cubs chase early, and then you have a stretched out bullpen for now game 2, and I just, I don't think that bodes well.
Yeah, and by the way, you talk about the Cubs, or the Cubs are going to throw a lot of left-handed pitching in the series. Padres are bottom half of baseball against lefties since August 1st.
Yeah. Listen, man, vibes. Vibes.
I just want to touch on that really fast. To roll off vibes, but not vibe off of an 8-game win streak for the Yankees, that I think is an interesting choice.
Long sample size.
And to pick the Tigers off of vibes when the Guardians are coming in off 3 back-to-back wins. I
picked the Guardians because I picked the Tigers because the Guardians can't hit.
Well, but vibes. No, vibes, Mike, vibes.
By the way, just before we get to the Dodgers real quick, Bruce Bochy just got fired by the Texas Rangers.
Wow.
It sounded, was it a firing or was it a mutual parting of ways? Because I think he's
Jeff Bass says that Bruce Bochy is out as manager with the Rangers.
Okay. So I'm not 100% sure what that means.
It might not be firing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I think he's going to be the Giants manager next year. I don't think it's a coincidence that this happens on the same day that Bob Melvin gets fired by the Giants.
That's not a bad guess.
That out there.
That's not a bad theory.
I also just want to point out, John in the comments talking about cheapest tickets. Guardians is $45, Yankees is $100, Cubs is $80.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a tough thing for the Gardos playing a day game. I feel for them.
Yeah, a day game on a Tuesday.
Yeah, on a Tuesday at noon.
Who's getting off work tomorrow?
Back-to-back day games, too. I think it's a little bit unfair the way that they don't. I think they should shuffle that. If you played a day game in game 1, you should get a night game in game 2. I get that they're doing it for TV. They think that's going to be the least watched of the series. But that's tough for the Gardos.
You're right. It's all right. We'll just win them under the cover of, the daylight. That's all right. Don't mind.
Yeah, that's it, man. Everybody will just watch from the office, and
that's what I'm going to do.
All right, Reds Dodgers, Dalton. I'll give you my 2 cents quick on this. I think it's 2-0 Dodgers. Read them and weep. That's kind of how I feel about this. I think Hunter Green could give them a problem in game 1, but I just think the Dodgers are too stacked offensively. They're going to get through games, I think, fairly quickly. I feel very confident with the Dodgers this year going into the postseason, especially with how they've played lately. I think it's a quick 2-0 for the Dodgers.
Yeah, look, I know earlier on in the program I talked really positively about Hunter Green, and I tried to make a case for why the Reds starting pitching could be troublesome for teams in a short series. The reality is this is a mismatch. It just is. And as much as I want to emotionally hedge and talk about how the Reds, talk about the pathway to the Reds winning, and listen, if you flip a coin 10 times, the Reds are going to win 3 times. That's baseball. But the Dodgers are going to win this series. Hunter Green has not been good. I mean, you look if we look at what he's done this season, 4.81 season ERA away from home. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. He also just saw the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium on Monday, August 25th. The Dodgers won that game 7-0. 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks. He only struck out 3 in those 5 innings. Dodgers hit 9 fly balls against him in 5 innings. This is the kind of pitcher the Dodgers have been comfortable against for a few years. These has some hard-throwing righties. If you put a gun to my head and ask me what's going to happen tomorrow night, I think the moment's too big for Hunter Green. I think he walks at least 3. I think the Dodgers hit a homer or 2, and I think this game is 4-0 by the end of the third, and Snell cruises. Because the other side of it, too, the Reds are one of the worst teams in baseball hitting left-handed pitching. Ellie De La Cruz OPS is under 700 against lefties. So the Dodgers going to Snell in game 1 makes a ton of sense.
Yep.
I have a feeling this series is a bit of a formality. That's my honest prediction. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I'm nervous as hell going into tomorrow night. But if you ask me what I think is going to happen, this out of the 4 wildcard series is the one that I think is the biggest gap by far.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's Dodgers, and it's not a question. What do you think, Tristan?
Yep, I echo the same thing you guys do. It's 2-0. Easy peasy. Nothing too crazy. We can fantasize and pretend and talk about other outcomes and all that kind of stuff. But it's,
Yeah.
I mean, this I think is the easiest of the grouping for a 2-0.
So what is, and you touched on it a little earlier, but what is the pathway for the Reds here? Like if they, what do they have to do? Or what's, I shouldn't even say what do they have to do, because that's an easy question to answer, but what is I'm trying
I think what you're asking
the games.
I think what you're asking is
what's the avenue? What's the...
So here's how it goes if the Reds are to win. It would be Hunter Green pitches as well as he does all season. He goes 7 shutout. Dodgers just looked overmapped because he's a good enough pitcher that he can do that to a team if he's on, right? Yep. So it's Hunter Green goes full Paul Skeens mode, goes 7 scoreless. Blake Snell struggles with command, which he does sometimes. Reds take advantage of it, get a couple early runs. Dodgers offense kind of just sputters, and the Reds win game 1 like 3-1, right? Then you go into game 2 or game 3, and in one of those 2 games, the lefty that the Reds throw out there flummoxes us. And see, the tricky thing is, am I going to make an argument that the Reds are going to get to Yoshinobu Yamamoto, or am I going to make an argument that they're going to get Shohei Ohtani? Because both those guys have been lights out. Mm-hmm. So I think the way it works, I told you how they're going to win game 1. I think the way it works is game 2, they get out of the 6th inning 1-1 or down 2-1. And the Dodgers have already used Roki Sasaki in the loss. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it's Blake Trinan not throwing strikes, Tanner Scott giving up a home run to Austin Hayes, and the Reds are all of a sudden up 3-1, and the Dodgers' buttholes get tight and they strike out 3 times in the 9th. Like that's, yeah. And what I just described wouldn't shock me, to be clear. Like, this Dodger team all season has underperformed expectations and has had series. I mean, going into Pittsburgh and getting swept, where it's just like, what is going on? Like,
right.
Why is this random dude putting up 6 shutout innings against us? Like, what happened? So it wouldn't shock me. But if you're asking me to make a prediction, I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's Dodgers for me. So, let's do it this way, right? So that we don't necessarily make full-blown predictions on series that are not altogether happening yet. I want to go ALCS or Championship Series, World Series prediction here, so that we're not saying, well, when the Jays play the Red Sox in the ALDS.
Yeah. We're not getting into the specifics of the matchups. I got you.
Right. So for me, I think it's chalk in the American League. I think it's Blue Jays, Mariners in the ALCS, and I think the Mariners have the pitching staff to get to the World Series. That's what I'll say about that. And I think the improvements that they made to their lineup at the deadline is going to come up really big for them against a Blue Jay pitching staff that I'm kind of iffy on already. So I think the Mariners, if you're asking me to make a prediction right now, I think the Mariners are the representative of the American League. And they're playing good baseball right now. I'm ready to go for the Mariners. I think it's Brewers, Dodgers in the NLCS. Brewers for similar reason of why I feel good about the Mariners, but the Dodgers are simply too much for them to overcome on both sides. And I think it's Dodgers, Mariners in the World Series, and I think the Dodgers make quick work of them. So I think the Dodgers win the World Series.
Well, I'm going to let Tristan go next and just shoot from the hip because I'm annoyed by how much Mike and I have in common. Go ahead, Tristan.
Well, you guys won't like mine. This is my only time getting to be on the show and giving this opinion. So I'm going to say it's Yankees Guardians.
Oh, ALCS. Okay.
Yankees beat us just like they always do. I think we squeak by on, I'm going to borrow a phrase that we heard earlier. I think we squeak by on vibes. I think that our pitching staff does just show up the way that it has, and we win a lot of 2-1, 1-0 games that aren't fun to watch, that are boring to sit through, that nobody's going to tune in for, and people are in MLB is going to be pissed. And then we get dominated by just a team that hits better, that just truly will out-hit us. I think the Marine layer plays into our favor just as much as it plays into their favor, going to Safeco. Yeah. And then on the other side, I'll be the spoiler, and we'll say the Phillies, beat the Dodgers, and it's Phillies Brewers, and I'll say Phillies Yankees in the World Series.
Who wins that World Series?
I think the Phillies beat the Demons, and I think they beat the Yanks in that series.
That's interesting. With no Zach Wheeler.
I like that Ranger. I like Ranger Suarez. I think he does a good job. I think Aaron Nola can still be counted on for some big games. I think that he can be consistent in that regard.
I like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, the Phillies are intimidating.
They just are.
I think part of because the other name for them is Christopher Sanchez. I think he's
I forgot about that.
So the Phillies are definitely intimidating. Mike, the reason I was making faces when you were going through yours,
it's because you have the same thing.
Close. So I've got the Yankees beating the Blue Jays, and you moving on to face the Mariners. I just think the Mariners are the perfect team to just kind of stop the Guardians' magic. I think that's where it ends. But I don't think that I just look, for me, when I look at a Mariners Yankees ALCS, I got to go Mariners. I have a feeling that the home field advantage for them at T-Mobile Park this particular postseason is going to be really loud. The fact that they now have bats to go along with the pitching, I think, is going to allow their crowd to get into those games. Their boogeyman in the Astros their former boogeyman in the Astros is nowhere to be found. I think that matters a lot. So I've got the Mariners making the World Series.
Yep.
On the other side, just because of how they're playing, I've got the Dodgers sneaking past the Phillies, sneaking past the Brewers into the World Series. And I think I'm envisioning a path a little bit like last year where the Dodgers faced their toughest opponent in the division series in Philadelphia. Last year was in San Diego. I think they're going to squeak past Philadelphia in some improbable fashion and then beat the Brewers in 5 and the Mariners in 5 and just dominate those series and win the World Series. That's what I think their path looks like.
Yep.
Full disclosure, though, winner of that Dodgers-Phillies series, I'm going to have beating the Mariners in the World Series. That's how I think it goes.
Yeah.
So,
no, I think that's pretty much how I feel too. I think it's similar to I'm almost certain that I feel really confident that the Mariners go to the World Series in this American League bracket. I do, because I think whoever they play, sorry, Tristan, I'm sorry, but whoever they play between the Guardians and the Tigers, I just think they are a far inferior team at this point. I just do. And as you know, like I said, I've said before, when you look at the Mariners and how they're equipped for the postseason, they have a dynamite rotation. This is a team that went from they couldn't hit it all last year to they can certainly hit this year. I don't know. The American League doesn't have anybody that screams juggernaut, but the Mariners, I think, are the most well equipped. So, and I agree. I think the Phillies, you want to talk about vibes. Philadelphia is the king of postseason vibes. Okay. I agree with you, Dalton. I think that whoever wins that Dodger-Phillies series goes to the World Series. And I would say the Mariners have a realistic 50-50 shot against Philadelphia. I think if they play the Dodgers, it's more like 80-20 in favor of LA. I really think the Dodgers, if like I said, fully healthy, playing good at the right time. I don't think there's anybody in baseball that can touch the Dodgers. I just don't.
We'll see, man. It's a lot of expectations. It's so funny because last year we had home field through the whole thing, right? And it was like, it kind of just felt like, oh, we're the team to beat, and I kind of wasn't feeling the vibe. This year, I feel like, as weird as it sounds, like I read a couple different prediction columns today, where I looked at the type of columns where it's like, hey, here's how fan-sided writers think this is going to go, right?
Yeah.
And I think I looked at 15 total writers, and only one of them had the Dodgers winning the World Series, and I was like, huh.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's just because the Dodgers bullpen vibes have been awful lately, and they're probably not factoring in enough the fact that we're just bringing in replacements. And so it's a weird place to be. I don't really love being this confident. For those of you who communicated with me a lot last March and April, I said the exact same thing about Duke, where I was like, this Duke team is the best college basketball team I've watched in my lifetime. We have no reason to lose.
Yep.
And then we blew a 14-point lead in 2 minutes. So I know what confidence followed by heartbreak feels like, and I'm ready for it again.
God, that Duke team was good. Man, oh man. Cooper Flag, Con Knipple, come on Malawach. It was just never ended. It was unbelievable. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's a sore spot.
It is, certainly. Tristan, thank you so much, man, for coming on. It was an absolute blast. You have an open invitation, by the way, on this program whenever you want. It's always I can already tell you're a good time. I'm glad that you joined us today. Thanks so much, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks for making the deal with me about the Guardians, because I think that was the magic that we needed. Was that they needed something to play for more than postseason baseball.
They knew.
And it was to get me on this great show. They knew. So, I greatly appreciate you guys letting me on and let me hang around for a little bit as well and talk some baseball with you guys. I appreciate it a lot. You guys are a great time. You both know, I enjoy watching the show every week. It's always a great time. Thank you guys so much.
Of course. Thank you, Tristan. I really appreciate it, brother. All right. Dalton, do you have picks by any chance today? You have Hot Corner today? You're muted here, buddy.
I'm going to be honest. I haven't really looked at the odds for the series very closely yet, so I'm going to pull them up right now.
And we're just going to get a live pick right here.
I'm just going to tell you what sticks out to me. We're just going to do that.
Okay.
So, give me a moment. Let's pull up.
Tigers right now are favored in the game against the Guardians.
So I can understand them being favored in the game. What's the series?
That I don't know. That's not that I'm not looking at. I don't know.
All right, let's see. All right, so odds to win series: Dodgers minus 250 or minus 250, Reds plus 200. That's about right. Nothing there. Cubs minus 120, Padres even. That's about right to me. Guardians minus 110, Tigers minus 110. That's going to be the one. Let's just be honest. Mm-hmm. The Guardians should be favored in that series. So give me the Guardians minus 110 there. Yankees minus 185, Red Sox plus 150. I'm tempted by the Red Sox with that plus money. That could be
value, I'm telling you.
But I think Guardians minus 110. That's the pick. So we'll go with that.
All right. Sounds good there. All right. You have our predictions. It is time to get going for the playoffs. We will be back next week. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Tristan again for hopping on the show. Again, open invitation for him as well to get on the show as much as he wants. But that's Dalton Brown. I'm Mike Guido. This is the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast. Enjoy the playoffs. We'll see you.